This interview is being conducted for the Twechar and Oral History of a Pit Village project. My name is Brian Mallon and the respondent is Brendan Reid. This is the 8th of June 2017 and the interview is taking place in St Ninian's. Thank you very much for agreeing to be interviewed for us.
No bother.
For the record, would you please confirm your name?
Brendan Reid.
What is your age or year of birth?
17.
Where were you born?
Glasgow.
Where do you live now?
Kirkintilloch.
How long have you lived in Kirkintilloch?
All my life, I've been there since a wee boy.
What is your earliest memory of Kirkintilloch?
I've just got good memories of my street there, like playing football on my street with my friends and cousins and stuff like that.
What is life like for kids living in Kirkintilloch?
Well, it's quite good. There's got loads of places to go. There's loads of parks and that. There's like, you've got the Bing, and like loads of good football parks and stuff, so it's quite good, aye.
Is it a good community?
It's a good community to live in, but it's also like quite a big community. So it's not like places like Twechar where it's like everyone knows each other. Like, you still know a lot of people, but not as well as you do like in places like Twechar.
Would you ever move away from Kirky?
Well, I probably would, but I don't see why I wouldn't. Like why I wouldn't stay. You know, it's a nice town. So.
And can you sum up Kirkintilloch?
It's just a nice town, just good working class town. Loads of people in it, just very friendly people and stuff.
That's all my questions. Have I missed anything, and would you like to add anything?
No, not really. Sorry.
Thank you for making me so welcome and for sharing your memories with me.
No bother, it's my pleasure.
For the record, would you please confirm your name?
Jodie Nicholson.
What is your age and your birth?
I'm 16 and 2001 when I was born.
Where were you born?
Twechar.
Where do you live now?
Still Twechar.
Do you plan on living in Twechar for the rest of your life?
Hopefully not. I'm not saying that it's a bad place to live, but I'd rather move abroad, somewhere hot.
Do you think Twechar could improve on its facilities?
I think it will in the future, but what it has now, I think it's great for like what it used to be. It's expanded a lot.
Tell me about your family.
I've got quite a big family, but there's me, my mum and my dad and my twin brother who all live in one house. But my mum's brothers and my gran and all their kids were all quite close, so we all just stay like different schemes and just round the corner from each other. So.
Do you enjoy working in the centre?
Yeah, I like it. It's like easy to get to, and like I know everybody that comes in, so I can ask them how they're going and what they've been up to and ask them how they've been. And it's good because like I work with the kids and it's something I want to do in the future is work with kids. So like I know how to get on with them well and just different things. It's simple things that are easier. So
describe Twechar for me.
Twechar is just like, it's really homely. Like if you ever needed something, somebody in Twechar would be there. If you're ever lost for something, somebody like would be there to help you. Like in the centre they do collections for people that have moved in, and if they're in need, like needing new furniture, if they're a young family, like the whole community will get together and they'll get clothes, they'll get furniture, beds, everything. So I think in the one word it would be like they're just loving, really.
What do you hope to do in the future?
I'd like to be a social worker or just work with kids, really, just somewhere abroad.
That's all my questions. Have I missed anything would you like to add?
No, that's all.
Thank you for making me so welcome and for sharing your memories with me.
No bother.
This interview is being conducted for the Twechar and Oral History of a Pit Village project. My name is Jodie Nicholson and the respondent is Brian Mallon. This is the 8th of June 2017 and the interview is taking place in St Ninian's High School. Thank you very much for agreeing to be interviewed for this project. For the record, would you confirm your name?
Brian Mallon,
What age are you?
12,
What year were you born then?
2004,
Where were you born?
Glasgow,
Where do you live now?
Twechar.
Do you like living in Twechar?
Yeah,
Would you rather live anywhere else?
no, not really.
Have your parents always lived in Twechar, like their whole lives?
No, my mum lived in Twechar when she was a wee girl, but my dad lived in Kirky, and then he moved to Yorkshire and then back to Kirky, and then they've had loads of houses before I was born.
So did your dad like Twechar?
Yeah,
Would he ever move?
no, I don't think so.
Do you have many friends in Twechar?
Yeah, like everybody knows everybody and all that, so yeah.
Who would you say your friends are?
Like Leah, mainly, is the only one that's kind of goes to this school for Twechar. There's other people I know that go to like Kirky High and that.
So what do you do in your spare time?
In Twechar.
Yeah.
Well, normally just go to each other's houses and that.
What do you do when you're at each other's houses?
Oh, we just talk and all that. Like, we sometimes go outside.
What are your plans for the future?
I kind of want to be a lawyer
A lawyer. So would you want to do it here or abroad?
here.
Here?
Mm.
Do you like staying in Scotland?
Yeah,
What is it you like about staying here?
don't know. If I lived abroad, I couldn't cope. I don't like it, like other accents and that.
Okay. Thanks very much. That's all my questions. Have I missed anything or would you like to add anything?
No, that's it.
Thank you for making me so welcome and sharing all your memories with me.
This interview is being conducted for the Twechar An Oral History of a Pit Village project. My name is Daniel Stark and the respondent is Michael Morrison. This is the 8th of June 2017 and the interview is taking place in St Ninian's High School. Thank you very much for agreeing to be interviewed for this project.
It's fine.
For the record, would you please confirm your name?
Michael Wassell,
What is, how old are you?
I'm 16,
What year were you born?
2001.
Where were you born?
I was born in Hayward's Heath in England.
And where do you live now?
I live in Twickenham.
So, how long have you lived in Twechar for?
I've lived in Twechar for 12 years. I moved there when I was 4 from Coolside.
Have you enjoyed growing up in Twechar?
I have. It's a safe village, it's a quiet village as well, and everybody knows everybody, so you've got a lot of pals when you're young.
What have you liked most about growing up in Twechar?
Probably just how quiet it is and how friendly everyone is. There's not a lot of conflict between a lot of people. Everyone is just really friendly and I don't know.
And what primary school did you go to?
I went to St Agatha's in Kirkintilloch.
Did you enjoy going to St Agatha's?
Just like Twechar, it was a really small primary as well. Again, another really quiet and nice place to grow up.
And what do you remember most about St Agatha's?
I remember how small the classrooms were, because you'd usually have like P6s and P7s all put into the one class and stuff, or lots of mixed classes.
So how much would you say Twechar's changed over the years?
Quite a lot. Obviously I never had the centre there when I first moved. That's obviously been quite a focal point of Twechar, where a lot of people have met. And obviously the new houses in both schemes, which have brought a lot of new people into the area and kind of changed the whole landscape of Twechar.
And so what do you want to do in the future?
When I want to be a lawyer.
Lawyer. So what do you think you'll need to do? Do you think you'll need to go to university?
Yeah, I'm planning, if I get the grades this year, I'll go to university next year and then study law there.
What qualifications do you think you'll need from high school?
High school this year, I need 5 A's to leave this year, but if I don't get 5 A's I can stay on next year and get the other qualifications I need.
That's all my questions. Would you like to add anything?
No, I'm fine, thanks.
Thanks for making me feel welcome and for sharing your memories with me.
Thanks for having us.
This interview has been conducted for the Twechar, an oral history of a pit village project. Our names are Michael, Roisin, Bethany, Brian and Daniel. The respondent is Elizabeth Mitchell. This is the 8th of June 2017 and the interview is taking place in St Ninian's High School. Thank you very much for agreeing to be interviewed for the project.
Thank you for asking me.
For the record, would you please confirm your name?
Elizabeth Mitchell.
What is your age or year of birth?
I'll be 29th of the 1st, 1926.
Where were you born?
I was born in Dumgrue, which is about half a mile from Twechar.
And where do you live now?
I live in Melrose, 16 Melrose Gardens, Twechar.
Okay. What were your earliest memories of Twechar?
Earliest memories is going to school for the first time, and I would be about 4.5. I wasn't quite 5 when I went to school, but I do remember it. I do remember going into the class first time, but when my mother turned to go home, I expected to go home with her. I said, no, you've got to stay here.
What primary school was that?
Twechar Primary School.
Did you stay at that primary school?
Yes, well, I never left that primary school because our top school, or whatever you call it, secondary, was just upstairs.
What are the biggest differences between Twechar when you first lived there compared to what it's like now?
Well, it was a very, very busy place when I was much younger because the Beards and Scottish Steel was there, all the pits were there, and there was just up on part of the main road there was a number, what they called number 10 pit, which is a pit used for men escaping if there was any accidents, or which we had quite a few of. They could escape through number 10 pit. So I can remember the men talking about that. And it always occurred to me when I passed, I hope nobody's been hurt, you know.
Are there a lot more people in Twechar now than there was?
Well, recently we've had some new houses. The old ones were taken down. Most of the people left the village, but a lot of new people have come into the village. I don't know them now. I just know one or two of the same people over in, the other places, Kelvin View. I don't know a lot of the younger people. I know their faces, but I don't know who they are.
Is there any memories from your early childhood that you remember?
Of Twechar?
Yeah, or just your childhood, what you used to do?
Well, most of our time was spent playing down in the field just beside the school, and playing in the glen actually, what called the Rabbit's Playground. We used to be up there, and that's where we spent our summers. We didn't go fancy summer holidays or anything like that. Maybe a day's outing to Portobello, and that would be go on a bus one day and back the same day. But mostly playing down in the glen or down the field. And we did have, just behind the name of the yard, there was a playground there. But funnily enough, we hardly used it. We preferred to play down in parks.
Kilsyth was quite a bigger village than...
Yes, well, we'd maybe there once a week or once a fortnight, and that was to go to the afternoon picture house on a Saturday afternoon. And as I said already, we got sixpence to spend. That sixpence was your bus fare in, your bus fare out, and money to go into the pictures, which we didn't do. We kept the money and walked into Kilsyth, spent the money on a pie for a penny or something like that, or we'd buy some toffee with the other penny. And if the weather wasn't too bad, we walked back home, and that gave us tuppence left over.
When you were growing up, what did you plan to work as, and how do you feel that compares to the career you had?
The kind of work that we done? Mm-hmm. Well, actually, in my case, I really left school at 14. The reason being that was coming up, the war was coming on. There was no men to do any work in the fields. They were either in the pits or in the army or navy or the air force. So we had the job of going out and picking the potatoes and turnips and in some awful weather. And we didn't have the fancy clothes to cover us up. Wellingtons with a pair of my dad's, probably a pair of my dad's socks under these. That was it. We didn't have any clothes suitable for weather. We just used what we had.
When you made friends at primary school, did you keep them throughout the war?
Well, most of the time I only saw them when I come home and leave, because I was on to my 18th birthday when I was taken into the army. And because I was a telephone operator, and that was the reason for it. So I only saw my friends when I come home on leave, which wasn't very often.
Right. Okay. That's all the questions I have.
Thank you very much, dear. Thank you. Thank you. And you, dear.
What was your initial reaction when you heard that when the war was being announced?
Well, I wasn't very old actually when that happened. I'd just be barely a teenager. And I was in my grandmother's house in Bunbury, in Twechar, in the old houses, when it came on television, and Chamberlain came on the radio, sorry, not television. He came on the radio and said that we were now at war, since he had actually spoken to Germany a few weeks previous, and they said it was all right. This was him back on a second time to tell us we are now at war with Germany, as from today, which was the 3rd of September. So I didn't have much reaction because I didn't know how bad the war was. Being of an age, it was something new, something was happening. I knew everybody was panicking round about me. But I didn't do too much about it because I didn't know what it was all about. I didn't know in a few years after that I would be in it. I was 17 after 18. I'd only be about 13, I think, when that happened. I didn't get until 1942.
What was it that, see how you got involved in the war? Was that through your own choice? Or?
Well, no choice really. That was the case of that's the job that I'd done. That was the job I was going to be doing. And I do remember it. I won't forget it. It was November. It was dark. It was dull. It was raining. And it was the old engines with the steam. I'm standing on the platform waiting to go on. All around was khaki, people crying, people, doors slamming, trains, what have you. It was all very frightening. Everybody was crying because we were quite young. We were getting taken away from our families, especially my mother. They took it really bad. And my dad, of course, had been in the First World War, so he knew exactly what was going to happen to me.
What was the average day like for you when you were in the war?
The average day was nearly all, you were up at 6 o'clock in the morning, and it was a case of getting dressed, and you had to learn to get dressed very quickly. You weren't too quick at the beginning because that had to be properly, you were inspected. You didn't go out the hut until you were inspected by someone to see that you were dressed properly. And from there it was their, didn't call it toilets or anything, it was called the ablutions. They were cold, they were frozen, cold water, no hot water. That was it. Went from there and joined the parade. So you had a marching down to wherever your lunch, breakfast, and which was usual porridge, which suited me fine because I take porridge anyway. But you only got about half an hour to do that. You're back out and you're on the parade ground. It was all marching, parading, marching. It was all detail. Everything had to be. That was part of your job, doing exactly what you were told, quickly, as quick as possible, till you got it right.
Was it hard to adjust to the army life?
Yes, it was. It was frightening at first, very frightening. Most people had a good cry most nights. And especially in the middle of November, going into December, you only had one blanket, which wasn't very much. So you tried your best. You put your great coat over your bed, try and keep you warm. Then sergeants would come round at night and the coats were taken off the beds. And you had to learn to sleep with one blanket and get used to that. That was you getting hardened into the job, more or less. Efficiency, did all these things. But it wasn't easy. It was difficult, very difficult.
What was the worst part about your job?
The same marching and the same things every day. Nothing changed. It was a repeat of the same thing for about 6 months before you went on duty, on proper duty. But it was all that you didn't realise that what you were getting taught was to save your own life and the person next to you. Whoever was beside you, or pleased you had somebody that you knew beside you, because they were getting it taught the same as what you were getting taught. Learn to look after each other. And you felt quite safe if you had that person beside you.
Do you have any war medals?
Yes, I have one or two.
How did you get those medals?
One of them is the Atlantic Star. I got that because I was on the water quite a bit.
Okay. After the war, did you come back to Twechar?
Yes, I came to Twechar, but I got married. So I stayed in Glasgow for about 3 or 4 years, which I didn't like at all, because I'd been in the barracks, Maryhill barracks, and I wanted out of Glasgow, so I went back into Twechar again.
Did you have any other jobs when you came out of the army?
After I left the army, I did a bit of police work for a while, detective work.
Did you enjoy the detective?
I didn't really enjoy that. I got back out of it and I went into a shop. I worked in a shop for about 2 years. Dailies of Glasgow, which was one of the best fashion shops in Glasgow.
Did you like that?
Yes, so I did, because I used to do fashion shows. I was taught how to do fashion shows, and I did that for quite a lot. It made me go to London as well, because the last time I'd been in London was in the Blitz. So it was a change to be in London, just to be enjoying myself instead of worrying when the next bomb was going to drop, or down in the shelters and what have you.
Do you have any children?
Yes, I have 6 adopted children, all brothers and sisters. I have 4 girls and two boys. The youngest was, when I got the youngest one, was 1.5 years, and the eldest one was about 11. Now, my eldest daughter's 67, and my youngest daughter's 57. I have 13 grandchildren, 18 great-grandchildren, and 2 great-great-grandchildren.
Wow. That's all.
They're all brothers and sisters.
Did you get them after the war?
Yes, about 7 or 8 years after the war. Yes.
Yeah, that's all my question. Do you have anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, but the person that impersonated Charlie Chaplin was a cousin of mine, and he had a slight stammer. But during the 26 and 28 strikes, which was just 2 years after I was born, he used to go, the miners had no money. There was no money for food or anything. So a whole group of them all got together, dressed up in various fashions. You know, he dressed as Charlie Chaplin. and they went to Glasgow and they jumped on and off the tram cars collecting with money boxes, and he would do his impression with his stick and his moustache, and he really looked the part. He put his shoes on 2 different feet, so his shoes turned up on both sides. But that was kind of lifestyle, because the money that was brought back from that, how they did it was, it sounds strange to someone, but we used to have wash houses years ago. Toilets were all outside, wash houses were outside. And what happened to the wash houses? They would take one of them and use the boiler, and soup was made in that boiler for the whole 16 to 18 people that lived in that row of houses. And the money went to an old lady who was a baker. She baked bread and scones and the odd biscuit, not very many biscuits, for the sake of children that never get anything sweet. And that's how we lived. That's way back. You children don't know anything about that. You're not children, you're young men and women. And I hope you never have to see what we saw. Maybe that's why it was worth fighting for, when we see how you've all turned out.
Thank you.
You're very welcome, dear.
For the record, would you please confirm your name?
Robert Hardy.
What is your age? What is your age or year of birth?
My age is 78.
When were you born?
Twechar.
Where do you live now?
Twechar.
So, Robert, what was your school life like? And when did you leave school?
15.
15. Tell us about what your school life was like.
Twechar, it's a primary school now. When I went to school, it was a junior secondary. I went to school when I was 5-year-old. And you did the qualifying class too, and then you qualify, and then you went to first year, second year, and third year. But during the qualifying, if you were really good at all, you went to Lens Academy. You know what I mean? And I wouldn't say bad, but moderate, you stayed in Twechar.
So
Twechar's school, yes.
So when was it, did you leave school to go to work in the past?
1953, Brendan.
So was that when you left school?
I left school in the summer holidays. That'd be June, end of June or something like that. 2 weeks after that, I was working in the Pithead. Up number 11, up by Duncrew, just by Duncrew Bridge. Number 11 was the name of the pit. I worked in the Pithead.
So how did you, your parents, how did they feel about you working in the pits?
Well, I was off of mine in stock.
Oh.
And at that time, I was mostly, every village was the same for their pits. You went to the pits. Some of them used to go to work in the foundries. Kirkintilloch Lion Foundry and the Star Foundry. But when it was mostly the pits, you know.
Do you remember your first day of work and what it was like for you?
I can remember, yes, starting on the Pithead, number 11. What they called the screes. The coal came off the pit shaft onto a cooper, cooped over onto these belts, and you had to pick the dirt out the coal before it went onto the wagons. That was my first job. How was it? Was it enjoyable? Or? Then it was enjoyable, but when you think about it now, it was hard going. In fact, that job I started at the screes, what you call the screes, a lot of miners, when they were ready to retire, were sent there so they could finish their time there to get their pension at 65 and that too, you know. A lot of, no ex-miners, but elderly miners finished up there too, just to finish their time off. You know what I mean?
What age were you when you started doing it?
15, just when I left school, 15. And it was heavy going then, heavy going.
What were the toilet facilities like in the mines?
On the surface and below.
Well, whatever you're willing to tell us.
Well, the surface, they weren't very, very unhygienic, I would say. And what I can mind, I don't think there were toilets. Now, I might be wrong. I could be thingy there, you know. I could be corrected there, but I don't mean it. Toilets, what you mean now, what they've got just now.
So what did you do, like?
Well, I don't know about the pit head, but when you were down the pit, you had these pans in the pit, a kind of fluid in the pans. It was just like big paint tins, big pans, and that's when the men had to do the toilet. And when they were, if they were full, they'd come out the jigger in a hutch, and they'd be placed in a hutch, covered up. But there were a man there, he was a sanitation officer. He kept his eye on them, and he used to put stuff over the tap to keep the smell down. But that was horrendous.
So it wasn't very hygienic?
It wasn't very hygienic, you can say that again. It was not. A lot of people, a lot of men couldn't stand it. So you see what like it was then. Unbelievable then, you know what I mean? But like in the pit head, I dare say that maybe but in the canteen in the pit head, I don't think there was a toilet in the canteen that I can remember. I could maybe be corrected there, you know. But I won't can tell you what I can remember. It was really, really, you just wouldn't do it now.
So it's not like today's sanitation?
In the pits?
Yeah, it's like you wouldn't have like anything like that today.
No, I don't think so. Well, I was only 10 years. I was in the pits from 1962, 63. And I don't think they'd have better sanitation, I would believe. You know, but way back then, when you think about it, that's a good question too. When you think about it, it was unbelievable what the men had to do. And that was even the toilet, and their piece to eat in their flask, drink their tea and eat their piece, nowhere to wash their hands. Yes, it was horrendous.
Well, thank you very much.
That's fine, Hen. I'll tell your granny I was talking to you.
So, Robert, how were the conditions in the pits? Like, you've touched on the toilets, but as in, like, danger, and was it very dusty and stuff?
Oh, very, very dirty, very dirty. You used to use kind of sprays to keep the dust down. We sprayed, water would come out the sprays to keep the coal dust down, you know. It was very, very dusty, very dusty. And like I said, if they were, well, like I said, I wasn't a stripper, but I worked at the coal face, seen the men stripping that. And the firemen, you had the firemen and the shot firers. And the shot firers were firing shots to clear dirt and all that. The firemen had to get in after that to see that everything was clear. It was wee lamp to clear everything, but the stew and the dust was unbelievable. In fact, I can remember when I was down the pit in Grace Hill, there was a sex group called North 4. I was only young, about 19 at the time. And these men were working in it. And when they got up the pit at night to go to the baths, a cake of soap to wash us all. Just one shower. The dust was right in their ears up there. Conditions was atrocious then. Atrocious, you know.
Yeah. So, did you have any like bad experiences while you were in the pits?
I dare say I had. Well, I've seen some. I'd actually won myself when I was down the pit. I was only a young man too, and they were putting through a mine up in Grace Hill. They were putting this other shaft. It was a mine connected to number 11 and number 9 pit. And they were putting this mine through, and the managers and under managers used to come down every day to check it everything was going, to see the production was going. And I was just no long down the pit. And they come and say to me, I was quite happy to go down the cage once and come back up at losing time, because it was horrendous taking down the cage. But when I went down there, the manager would send me up for some lunch for them, and I used to want to do it because I was good to the pit boatman. The pit boatman would say to me, "You must be well in with the manager." And I said, "I wish I was just coming down in the morning and get up at night," because it was quite a thing we could do. In fact, when you're up myself, you're on the cage yourself, but if you're down in the morning and finished your shift, there were about 10 or 12 on the cage. But when I was getting sent up for lunch for the pit gaffers and that, when they were down the pit all day, I was myself. And the one you called the pit boatman, he lit you up. And he used to say to me, "You're well in with the gaffers." And I would say, "Oh," I said, "I just wish I was going down once and going up once," because it was quite horrendous. And in actual fact, I used to see men blessing themselves, in the cage, going down the pit. You know what I mean? That's how the thing it was. It was a dangerous job, because you need ropes. And the time I get sent up to do It was quite regular get sent up, but one of the times I got sent up, the cage was going up, and the next thing, it just went out of control. And I'm hanging on to the bar, and myself, and it was going right away down. And I says, oh, I'm away here. And the next thing just went like that, the safety thing, and the cage just went like that, the rope just went up and down like that. And I says, I hope it doesn't. I was afraid in case it broke. And it went up and down like that. And I says, oh, and the next thing I just seen it moving up. And you could look up, and you could see a wee white, just a wee spot, and that was daylight. And the further the cage went up, the bigger it got. And whenever you hit the top, what you called the shuts, you knew you were safe, you know. But that was the miners too. They were going up and down there every morning and finished going up at night too, you know. It was horrendous away back then. It was horrendous. And some of the conditions was terrible. You know, I've seen men for Twechar, Kirkintilloch, Campsale, Lennoxton, all around the area, working, and I was only a young man. And it was unbelievable. They'd come out and they get up in the shower, and that was the best thing that happened in the pitch too, was to see the pit glass. That was some of the best things that happened with the miners, because before the baths were there, the miners were going home in these moleskin trousers. If they could wash it in about 3 days to dry them, they're that thick with coal dust and all that too. But with the pit baths, that helped a lot too, you know. But when you were asking earlier on about the conditions, it was horrendous. I don't know whether I've just seen the woman there, and Susan, about the song, a working man's song. You heard that song? It's about the mines, and see every word in it. It couldn't be any truer. It was a girl called Rita O'Neill that sang it, and it's all about the miners. A working man I am, and I've got the record. And sometimes when I play it, it brings a tear to your eye, because when you see the miners way back then, it was unbelievable what they had to do. But when the Cold War came over in 1945, I can remember my dad was a miner too. The conditions got better. With the Cold War, the NCB, that was when the Labour government came over in 1945. And then after that, the unions got built in. But before that, there were no unions. Before my time, because I used to hear my mum and dad talk about it. The conditions was bad away, but before I started in the pits, there were no unions in that day. Any nonsense at all. In fact, I can remember my mother tell me, and she actually worked the screes for a while, the pit head. I can always tell her, in Twechar, the thing we'll know about them, the big houses in the main street, that was all pit managers. And it was the bears that had the pits at then, and there were a family called the McAlpines and all them. They run the coal mines. And if a miner was off his work, or if he's walking down the street, just say a miner was in the back shift, they started at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and they met one of the McAlpines going to maybe walking out, but walking, and if they didn't lift their bonnet off to them, they didn't need to go to work that day, because that was it, they were sacked, because they didn't lift their hat after the gaffers. That was a way back before the Cold War came over, the 30s and that, because my mum can tell me that, my dad, you know. It was bad when I was working in it, but it must have been horrendous then, when your great-grand or any connections worked in the pits then too, you know. It was horrendous, you know. But saying that, as years went by, I think they got a wee bit poor conditions with the unions, the pit union and all that. But as I said there, I can remember pit buses coming from Kirkintilloch to Grace Hill pit, about 2 or 3 buses every morning, 3 buses in Twechar picking miners up to go to their work. Kirkintilloch, Milton Campsale, Lennoxton, working up there with Grace Hill miners. And you never see like during the November to February, you hardly seen daylight. You're out at 6 o'clock in the morning, and you want to get home at, say, 3:30, maybe 4:45, but that time it was getting grey dark, and that's what like it was then. When I think back, I say to a lot of my friends there, how people, you were down the pit, you never thought nothing of it. But see, like now you're thinking it, you wouldn't do it now. The youngers wouldn't do it now, you know. But as I say there, the conditions proved after I left. And the reason I left the pits was Grace Hill, where I was in, it was just ready to shut down. And I didn't fancy the job travelling elsewhere to work in the pits. Because the 10 years I was in the pits was quite an experience. And I've seen quite a few accidents doing the pits, you know. And especially, even when I started in the pit, the fair, Glasgow Fair, you've heard of the Glasgow Fair fortnight. Well, the miners only got a week away back then. A week they got. And they were always so much to off your wages. The only time you've seen a white see a £5 note. At the Glasgow Fair, you get your fair wages. The fair week for the holidays. That's the only time the working man seen a £5. It was a big white £5 note. And you thought it was great getting all that. And sometimes it's 50 pence now. It was old 10 shillings. They turn that off your wages every week for your holiday. Bank holiday, what they call the bank holiday. And the fortnight before the fair, you get your bank holiday money. Then the fair week, the fair Friday, you get your fair pay. And you thought you were a millionaire when you seen these £5 notes. But as I said there, when I was in them, seen money the coal boating over in unions, everything seemed to progress, you know.
And how has Twechar changed since you were a boy?
Probably the boat's changed quite considerable then. When I was born in the Miners' Rows, the big buildings in the Miners' Rows, they'd all knocked down. It's all new houses now. And there are more people coming into the village now. And they've got a centre in the Twechar too, a healthy living centre. And that's one of the best things that could happen in the village. Facilities for the kids and all that now too, and you know, quite a big change for the better. Because way back when we were kids, all we could do was play football. Come in for the school, play football. Even we were in the pits, summertime, what we called the Daisy Park. That lassie, they'll know the Daisy Park. We used to go down the Daisy Park and play football. It was football all the time. But now there are more facilities now for the young people. And it's changed for the better, you know.
So do you never miss it? Like what it used to be like?
When I was a kid, I enjoyed it. Everybody knew one another. And we always played football, and for next door neighbours, things were different then. And I can remember when I was a kid, there were no food banks. Because then it was made for the dinner. What was left over for the dinner, your granny, your granddad, with the tatties and all that, made into potato scones. Everything was, one of such things. And Twechar, and the big buildings, what got me, and I think back, there was only me and my mum and dad and my twin brother and my older brother. We all played football and all that. But there were families. There were 12, maybe 14, on room and kitchens way back then. And it was a mixed family. It could be maybe 5 laddies and 6 lassies. And you say to yourself, how did they do that? It was unbelievable. They wouldn't get away with it now. You know, it couldn't happen now. And that was just room and kitchens. There must have had about 4 beds in the back room and 4 beds in the front room. I know when we stayed in the Miners' Rows, we had 2 beds in the living room, coal fire, and you had the back room. The back room was always cold. But the conditions now, as you're saying there, it's changed for the better.
Yeah.
It's changed for the better. Because at least we back then too, the Miners' Rows, and the terraces, you know where the terraces are. That was, Pit Gaffer stayed in the terraces. And we were boys. If you'd up there touched the heads of the terraces, you'd get the fingers to off you. It was all way back then, it was all Pit Gaffers, you know. Even the bowling green. The bowling green was next to the school where I went to. And if you crossed the road there, on the top of the hedges and all that, it wasn't real, you know what I mean? With you get a belt when into school again, you know. But it's changed for the better. Because like you look back and you see, like yourselves, you and the laddies there, you would say to yourself, how could they do it? I say to myself too, and I was only in the pits 10 years, and I see the big fella there too, Kirkintilloch, Lennoxtown, Hull Head and all that. Came over to work in Grace Hill in number 11 pit. And the men, they were happy. They were happy doing their work. But when you think in it, it was unbelievable. When I think in it now, I say hello to my pals, I couldn't get down a pit like you knew. Well, I'm 78 now, but when you thought nothing of it. You were away at 6 o'clock in the morning, you weren't back to 3:30 at night. In the winter time, you hardly seen daylight. And there were pit buses for Kirkintilloch, Kilsyth, going up to Gracehill, and Twechar had a Twechar yard. With the Twechar yard, and that was a hub. Engineers, joiners, that was a hub for the full area of the central belt for the Scottish pits. They used to come in, the men, if they were on the back shift, they would come on a Thursday morning and get their pay slip. That would bring them their pay slip before the back shift in the pit. They'd get their pay slip. And the Thursday, and if on the back shift on the Friday, back shift on the Friday, they'd come and get their lift their pay in the Twechar offices the Friday morning and take their pay home and then go out and do their shift in the back shift. It was a busy place then. It was a busy place. But it's all changed now because there was the big fella there too. It was engineers, joiners, blacksmiths. We even had the pugs, the steam engines. The coal, bringing coal from all the pits. For round about Auchingeich and all that. And with Auchingeich I can remember the disaster. I was going down Gracehill. I think it was 1959, that disaster. And some of the older workers, I was older laddie, we were going to pit that Friday morning, and some of the older ones are says to me, that's a bad disaster in Auchingeich. Well, it was frightening you, and we were there. They told us we were only hundreds of yards away from Auchingeich pit, where Gracehill pit was. And it was horrendous when they heard that down the pit, that accident. I can always remember it, when I was walking into my work, and you had to walk to your work. They were they've got wee trains now to take them, and you could out the pit home and you'd walk, maybe say about a mile before you started your shift. And I didn't work the coalface, but I worked near a coalface, sending wood into we called them in the strippers, the men. And it was horrendous with the conditions they were working in too. I've seen them working in. They used to say to me, send in the trees. This was the trees to keep the roof up. And the biscuits to hold the trees. And they'd see me sitting in the wood row, and I'd look round and I'd see this wagon. And the wagons, the trees were about that size. And that's stuff they used to take, the miners used to take home for firewood. And the men were actually working in that. I could see them, and unbelievable. Some of the men were Humphrey Blackett when they came out in. And with that, I say to the chaps, they always bring this song up. If you ever hear it, just think of the people that worked in the pits way back then, because every word in it is true. Every word in it's true. But I'm glad the conditions is improved for then. Because way back then, before the coal board came over, the miners, if you didn't do what the gaffers told you were out of job. You maybe hear a lot of people talk about that way back before the war and that, but after the war, things got a wee bit better. But I can remember, it was really, and I've seen one bad accident too, but that's beside the point. But the conditions, and the men come home for their work, in Twechar especially, with a place called the Bully. You've heard of the Bully? And I remember came at night, a wee Blair and the Rose, and go up to the Bully and had their couple of pint of beer, and that was quite happy. The pub shut at 9 o'clock then, a wee back then, you know. They got with their can and get their pint of beer full, come in and that. And they used to stand at the top of the big buildings and arguing about fat bun, horse racing and all that. You know, all that's changed now. I'd say for the better, the conditions. Because like the laddies here, like I said to them, if they seen what, I was only 10 years, but there are people in the pits longer than me, and they could tell you a lot more things too, you know. But when I was there, 10 years I was there, it was, you couldn't get away for half an hour for your break. Somebody to let you away for you had a flask of tea and a peace box, and you had a flask of red hot in the morning when you taken it down in the morning. See, by 11 o'clock when you went for your break, the tea was cold and black, and you had to drink it, and you'd be sitting with your piece, taking your piece down the pit, and you see the wee mice coming out, popping their heads out, and they're as clean as own, ain't they? Watch you take your piece and all that. But I say there, things has changed dramatically to the last pit shot there, you know.
And that's all of our questions. Have we missed anything, or would you like to add any extra information?
Well, with the pits and all that, too, with the miners and all that, well, as I said there too, I'm a sporty guy. I dare say the guys are too. But around about this era, Twechar and Kirkintilloch, way back then, the football in Scotland just now is bad. But way back then, this place was full brilliant footballers. They worked in the pitch too. Hillhead, Kirkintilloch. This area had about 5 or 6 juvenile football teams. Kirkintilloch, Rob Roy juveniles, Milton Battlefield juveniles, Kelvinside Thistle juveniles, Twechar Rovers, Twechar St John's, Campsie Black Watch, and the place was itching with footballers. And that was the main thing, that was one of the main items way back then was football. Everybody was into football. In fact, I just meant to say to the big fellas there, although I'm not a Celtic supporter, but I love football. Anything to do with football. Celtic done well in the European Cup when they won it. But my cousin gave me a thing that the Evening Times won about a year and a half ago. It was all about legends of football the way back. He gave me this paper with Celtic legends in it. And I seen this one about Charlie Shaw. Charlie Shaw was a Celtic legend. And he was born and brought up in Twechar. He was a miner in Twechar. And my cousin says, look at that, he says, there. And a way back, that was early 1900s. He was a goalkeeper. He was a goalkeeper with Celtic and he was a legend. And I got my grandson, he went to Lynn's Academy at the time. And you know you can get these computers and banks thing about him. So I said, see if you get any information about Charlie Shaw there. Because I was surprised because we were into football. I'll see what team it was, you know. Just a Celtic legend. And so my grandson, he dropped the internet, whatever, and he got 3 pages full about this Charlie Shaw for Twechar. And I gave 2 or 3 people in Twechar, Celtic supporters, things yet, and it was quite good. He was actually a miner in Twechar. He brought up in the Miners' Rose Hen. Well, that was another rose we stayed in, down by the Canal Bridge. And he played with Celtic, and he went down to play with Queen's Park Rangers, and he came back up and played with Celtic again. And what the information I got about him was he was a miner in Twechar, and he used to fight for the football players' wages way back then. In the between 1910 and 1920, he played with Queen's Park Rangers, and he came back up and played with Celtic. And it says on the leaflet I got, like you know, these guys will know what I'm talking about. We've got a legend of footballer. It's usually an outfield player. And they're all, you know, clap his hands and all that. But it says when he came back up for Queen's Park Rangers to play with Celtic, he was playing at Parkhead, and they said it was the only time it ever happened to a goalkeeper. He came back up and played with Celtic. They were saying about Charlie Shaw and the Rangers, what do you call him, Alan Morton. I can always mind somebody saying that. Charlie Shaw never saw where Alan Morton put the ball. Alan Morton was a Rangers player. The two of them were great friends today. But they say he held the record for keeping the most goals the goals with Celtic. That's the reason he was a legend today. I don't know whether that record got broken or no. You should maybe find out yourselves. But I'd advise you to go into the thing if you're Celtic supporters. See about Charlie Shaw. It's quite interesting. He came from Twechar and was a legend with Celtic today, you know. And as I said, round about here today I could talk about football all day. I could talk about it all day, you know. But that was one of the legends that came from Twechar today. And he was a miner. And that's what they said, because he was a miner, he fought for the football players, for better conditions for the players. I'll be back then today, you know.
Well, thank you for making us feel so welcome and sharing your memories with us.
Much appreciated, but I dare say there people could tell you more.
Yeah.
You know, but I can only tell you I can. And it's all right getting interviewed. If you know we get interviewed about, it's just gets questions spun at you. Politicians are lucky because when they're answering questions, they're getting the questions before they answer them. You know what I mean? These guys, that's what I said. I done a wee thing in Twechar school too, with the kids in Twechar. The first thing one of them asked me, what age are you, Mr Hardy? What? The first thing they asked me. And then after that, the questions asked was unbelievable. But I said to Betty and them there, she'll be quite interesting if you're interviewing her too. She's quite interesting. Betty's Mitchell, Twechar, she's 92. She knows a lot too, you know. But as I said there, I could maybe tell you more. In fact, I'll tell you another thing too, a connection of mine with the football. You've heard of Mark Busby? I have a photograph. I think I gave Susan one. Mark Busby used to come in Twechar and stay with my mother and father. No, my father, my mother, before she got married, stayed at the big buildings, the Miners' Rose. I used to say, it was This Is Your Life. Maybe you don't remember this programme, This Is Your Life. it was a programme Eamon Andrews used to do, and it was about the legions and all that. And we're sitting in a house one night, my mum says to me, see Mark Bosby's in This Is Your Life tonight? I says, yes. She says, see if he doesn't mention Twechar. She says, I'll never forgive him. And I says, why? She says, he used to come down and stay with us when he was a young man. Actually, I've got a photo. I gave Susan a photo of him, and I used to say to my mum, did he get a game with Twechar? She says, there were that many good football players from Twechar then. He was only a wee, and it's a photo. I've still got a photo, the original photograph of my mum and him on the green. They used to hang out there washing in Twechar, and the big buildings is at the back of it. And this photograph must have been 10 when, but the 1920s are related to the 1920s. And she said he used to come down and stay with him at the weekends. Sometimes we get a game with Twechar, because there were 2 football teams in Twechar, then Twechar Rangers and Twechar United. Sometimes we get a game with Twechar, but there weren't many good players in Twechar then. You couldn't get a game, and they finished up playing with Dunderpace Juniors. He played with them, but he came and stood with my mother's family way back in the 20s. And he was only a young man. My mum was a big, I have a photo of her. Susan's got it. And I said to her, it was just hardly, I couldn't get any more information about him, you know, because after what he'd done and all that too, you know, he came from Belsillo, and he used to come down and stay with him at the weekend, play with the Twechar teams now and again, and there you are, he's turned out to be famous. Yeah. I could talk to these guys about football all the time, you know, but there you are.
Thank you for everything.
That's fine then. I enjoyed it, lads. I enjoyed it, it's quite interesting.
And tell me about your early school days.
My early school days, they were really non-eventful in the sense that you went to school, you were taught your 3 R's, and you had physical lessons as well. There was quite a lot of PE involved. Most of the people that attended Holy Cross Croy School either came from Croy or the surrounding area, which was Twechar, and some came in from Cumbernauld. It was really good. I had a really good time at primary school because I had the friends at school from Croy, and then I was bused back to Twechar where I had another group of friends in Twechar. But one of the things that I do remember, and because it was a mining area, I remember very, very vividly the Auchengeith pit disaster, and I'm unaware if you've heard of that or not. It was a local pit disaster where 47 miners lost their lives, and I remember it so well because coming from Twechar, there would maybe be a dozen of us, and you were out in the playground at the lunchtime after the dinner bell, and you waited on the bell being rung for it to line up again in your rows to go into class. I don't know if they still do that now, but what seemed very often, it was really quite difficult. We were saying, where is everyone? There didn't seem to be anybody around. You know, it was just maybe 2 in a line for class 4 and 4 in a line for class 5. And it wasn't till we got into class that we realised what had happened.
Do you remember the date of this?
It was a Friday. I remember it was a Friday because we were looking forward to the weekend. And it was a case of when we went in, we were told by the teacher it was a mining disaster. And a lot of the people who attended Croy School, it was their dads, their brothers or their grandpas that had been involved, so they hadn't come back from lunch, and that's why the playground was so empty. That's the thing that sticks out in my mind about primary school being quite sad. It had always been a happy time, but that was sad because the school was next to the chapel, and a lot of the people came from Croy, and we actually witnessed the funeral parties going up to the chapel and all these people being buried. But I mean, if you think 47 men, it was a lot of people to have lost their life in one disaster. You know, but apart from that, I had a good time at primary school.
What would you say your happiest memory of primary be? Can you remember?
My happiest memories of primary school, I think I know that people nowadays say, oh, school's boring or it's this or it's that. I really looked forward to going to school because I suppose that the teachers were there. Again, a lot of them lived locally. You knew them, even out with school. So it was nice to go and actually learn, you know, because there wasn't a lot of sort of extracurriculum things that you did out with the school. You sort of made your own hobbies and things like that. There weren't groups that as there are now, certain classes. So it was good to get to school to learn, you know, and make new friends. That was mostly what it was. So that's my happiest times.
So what did you do in your free time when you were younger?
Well, when I was younger, living in Twechar, there wasn't a lot to do, as in like youth clubs or anything like that. So it was a case of your friends you met up after school and you went down to the park. There was 2 schemes in Twechar. One that was at the canal end and the new scheme that was at the top end of Twechar. And in the centre of that was a park which separated the village, and everybody sort of met up in the park, which was the centre of the village. That's where the Healthy Living Centre is just now. And we played at rounders, we played at tig, hide and seek. We played jump in the burn because there was a burn there, and it was a case of who could jump the furthest. And we used to just stand and hope that somebody fell in, you know, because that was good fun as well, you know. So again, it was all, the boys played football, the girls would try to steal the ball from them, and we played skipping ropes, peaver. I don't know if you know about peaver. I think it's hopscotch now, but that was what we called it, peaver, or beds. You would chalk the beds out, the hopscotch bit, and you played at peaver. The naughty things we got up to, chap the door, run away. We would do that, and it was particularly good. You were really a hero if you chapped the policeman's door and ran away. That was if you were really getting into trouble. So that was really what we did, you know, in my younger days. And then I actually started working when I was 15. So I moved into Kirkintilloch to start working. So then you were introduced to the local dancing and things like that. You know, cinema. We didn't have that in Twechar. I think possibly once a month on a Thursday, the Miners' Hall held a cinema, a film, but you didn't have a choice. It was a case of whatever film was shown at the time. That they were other wee things that used to happen, you know, but you would have a bus run, an annual bus run that the miners put on, and it was usually to Ayr. That was where you went, the whole of Twechar went. And you can think back now and think, my goodness, what an opportunity for burglars, because they would know everybody was out their house, you know, but that never happened. And then there was local men, Mr Turner, they used to run bus runs throughout the Glasgow Fair, which was July, 2 weeks in July, and it was a bus trip to a different place every day. It would be Portobello, Dunbar, different just places, but that was how you spent your time, really, you know.
So do you like how it was like that, or would you prefer if it was like a more like city atmosphere?
I think because that was all I knew, I didn't know anything else. I enjoyed it. I didn't know anything else. But having said that, when I got older, in my teens, and started working at 15, I suppose I can look back and think, when I came to Kirkintilloch and I saw Woolworths, now you've seen Woolworths, it was like Harrods to me, because we didn't have a shop. It was a mobile van that would come around the village, and when you would hear his horn, everybody ran out with their wee shopping list of what they'd to get, because it genuinely was just a small van, a wee grey van. Willie Hamilton, the man's name was, and you'd be standing in a queue waiting to get served, hoping that you didn't run out of what you were looking for, you know, what sort of sweets it was or whatever. But in fish and chips, that was a luxury. You got that on a Friday night, because the chip van would come round the village, and the couple that ran that, their name was Clem, was the man, and Leesy was the woman. It was a married couple that ran it, the fish and chip shop. And I don't know if this is political, it wouldn't be politically correct now, but their nickname was, "Oh, here's Greasy Leesy coming," because the chips were full of fat, you know, but everybody loved them, and it was a luxury, believe it or not, fish and chips, you know. No, I think you're asking the question, would I preferred it to be more like a city or town-like? No, I think what I liked about Twechar was the community spirit. Everybody helped each other, everybody knew each other, and they looked out for each other. If somebody was ill, there was always somebody there to help them. And if someone was in hospital, people would take it in turn to go and visit. You know, people genuinely cared, they communicated with each other. I think that's missing, and I'm talking about Kirkintilloch as it is just now, and I'm talking from a personal point of view. People are too busy on their mobile phones and looking at social media to actually communicate face to face, and I think you lose a lot of that when you're in a town as opposed to being in a wee village. I do like the village life.
What did you work as?
What did I work at? Right, when I was younger and growing up, I used to go out. That was another thing I forgot to say to Roisin. I used to go out and pick the potatoes in the farm on a Saturday morning. That was quite good because you get a bag of potatoes home with you, and for me it was 10 shillings you got, which was a 10 shilling note, which is equivalent to 50 pence now, for working for a full Saturday morning. And anyway, I had always wanted to be a nurse. It was something that from a very young age I always felt I wanted to help people, and that's exactly what I did. I worked in an office when I left school, and then I went into nursing. I started at 16 and a half, started my student training, and managed to qualify looking after people with learning disabilities, first of all. Loved it, really loved it, and then went on to do general nursing, and get more interested again, because it's, to me, nursing isn't nursing a condition, it's about nursing a person, the whole person. So then I went in to do psychiatry, and I qualified in psychiatry, and I worked as a nurse for 37 years, which I probably would still be doing if I hadn't had a bad road accident and had to leave nursing. However, when I took early retirement, I really missed people, and that's what made me want to go and do volunteering. And I've did volunteering now for several years. Before I started doing that, I worked in the Twechar Daycare Centre, daycare manager for 2.5 years, which again was fabulous. It was like getting back to my roots. I was meeting the people that came from Twechar. I was hearing all about what was happening. I could hear the buzz there was about the new Healthy Living Centre and all the activities that were there that hadn't been there when I was young, and was so pleased that these things were happening in Twechar. It also allowed me to see the new housing that was getting up, but the spirit of the people of Twechar was still there. That never ever went away, and I missed that. I realised I missed that. However, my volunteering has got me now involved in befriending, and we try to target elderly people that feel a wee bit isolated or a wee bit lonely. But during my volunteering experiences, I went abroad as well. I went to Belarus and helped work in an orphanage. And I just think I generally just love people. And as long as I'm fit, as long as I'm fit to do that, I'll still do it. So that's all I've ever known in my working life.
So,
nursing.
how has Twechar changed since you were growing up?
Well, it hasn't changed in the sense, for me, I still love driving into Twechar from Kirkintilloch, and I love looking at the trees, I love the greenery, I love looking at the church steeple, and that to me is, I'm back in Twechar, I love that. I think there's a smell there about Twechar. It's just a nice earthy smell, and you always see a smiling face, even if it's a face I don't recognise when I go into Twechar. They always seem to smile at you, you know. And certainly the things that I've noticed that have changed is obviously the healthy living centres there. There's new housing stock there, but the people are still the same. There's still a really good community spirit there.
So would you say Twechar's changed more physically than the community?
Yes, I would say physically it's changed. The housing's got better, but the people are still the same, and I think that's down to just being a close-knit mining community, having come through some hardships and things like that. But it's good, and then there's a lot of family there, you know. There's different generations, you know, they just continue to stay there in Twechar, because I've still got a lot of family relations in Twechar.
So how long did you live in Twechar for?
22 years, the first 22 years of my life. I got married and moved, that's when I moved out of Twechar and had my family. I've got a son and a daughter who are doing very well now, and used to laugh when I would talk about my young days in Twechar, going up the Bluebell Woods, making daisy chains, going a picnic. A picnic to us in Twechar was a bottle of water, a piece and jam, and it was just fun, and then pretend. You know, you had wee concerts, your mother would give you an old pair of curtains, you would hang them in the clothes rope, and you would do your entrance, you know, almost like Matthew Kelly tonight, Matthew I Am, and you just made your own entertainment, you know. So I don't know, my children, well, obviously they're well up now and married with children of their own. They're actually now visiting Twechar. They visit the Healthy Living Centre and go to like the cycle group or the arts and crafts or something. They're getting their children involved in some of the aspects of Twechar.
So,
and they feel the same. It's a nice community.
So were all your friends from Twechar as well then, I take it?
Well, no, they weren't all from Twechar. I was lucky to have gone to Croy School, and I had a lot of friends in Croy, Kilsyth, and then obviously I had friends in Twechar as well, and I've kept in touch with them.
And what do you remember most about just growing up in Twechar?
I remember being terrified if we were caught doing anything wrong, which was never anything that bad. You know, somebody would say, they would threaten you, we'll tell the priest on you, or we'll tell your dad on you, or the local policeman, which was Mr Angus Smith. He was the local policeman in Twechar who lived across the road from me. Excuse me. So you never got up to much because people were always looking out for you, you know.
That's all my questions, and would you like to add anything?
No, nothing. I don't have anything that I would like to add other than I personally loved growing up in Twechar. Great memories of it in the sense of they were all happy memories. They were all good times, and it was the people in Twechar and the people who influenced me in Twechar that shaped me to be the person that I am, and helped me make the decisions that I made to go where I am just now, and I'm happy with that.
Thanks for making me so welcome and sharing your memories with me.
You're very welcome.